Okay, so before we begin with the first round of meditation, I do want to check in how your mindfulness practice has been going, or is there any barrier or resistance that is coming up that you feel like sharing here?
Well, I can go first. Um, no, I'm doing pretty good with the mindfulness. I normally get up in the morning and start my day with a round of some type of meditation. It's always kind of different, but some type of meditation, some type of reading or mantra or something. So I'll start my day with like an hour of that. I've been doing pretty good with it. I'm trying to add in more at the end of the day, but it's not always as easy. But also, trying to remember to be mindful during the day as well while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, just trying to be present in whatever I'm doing and not wandering off. It's not as easy, but I try.
Hmm. Yes, thank you for sharing. And I'm so
Mhm.
glad that, and I remember you have been practicing for 12 years. So I have no doubt that yeah, you know what to do. And then it sounds
I'm
great to me.
trying.
Yes. What about you, Yash?
Um,
Yes.
so for me, I'll be honest here. So this week, I think last week, I couldn't meditate so much. I think I was kind of in a um, low mood. I was not
Mm.
feeling so great, but I was not pushing it away. I was accepting it. But I think from yesterday evening, I was feeling good. I don't know why.
Mm. Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I, I, so yeah, I couldn't meditate for long hours, but yesterday and today, when I woke up, I meditate for like 15 minutes.
Hmm.
So maybe I think that helped maybe to lift my mood or yeah.
Sure. Okay. And thank you for sharing and thank you for being so genuine. And I understand those things do happen, the changes in the mood and stuff, but great noticing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're always there noticing these changes. And
Yeah,
that is enough. That is a that is what we do here.
yeah, absolutely. She said noticing and accepting, which I thought was
Yeah.
good too. That I just accepted that I was in a, lower mood and not trying to actively change it, which was, I thought, good. That probably helped for her to soon be in a different mood, higher state of consciousness, just the awareness and acceptance. So that's really good.
Hmm. Yes, I totally agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or any other comment before we do our first round? Okay. So let's take a position that's most comfortable. And if you if closing your eyes helps you concentrate better, go for that. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's all right as well. Make sure your back is straight and then take all your attention, all your focus and place it on the breathing sensation. Take a long breath in, hold for a second, and breathe out. Another breath in, hold for a second, and breathe out. One more breath in, hold for a second, and breathe out. Now let the breathing go back to its regular pace. No need to hold it, no need to control it in any way. Just let it be. However, be fully attentive of the breathing process. Notice the sensations that arise moment by moment, breath after breath. The sensation may seem very similar, but each moment, this particular sensation is absolutely brand new. The sensation or the experience you're having right now is happening for the first time. So be fully aware of it. Watch it while it comes into the field of awareness. Watch it when it changes into something else. Just like a burning candle, the flame that we see looks the same, but every second it's burning something new. It's changing every second. Similarly, the light bulb looks so similar, looks the same. But if you slow down the time, you can see the electric waves arising and passing in that electric bulb. Each moment brand new, each moment different than the last one. Bring that curiosity for this newness of breath. Notice the sensation that is happening in this moment. If the mind go towards thinking, planning, or the sounds in your environment, that's okay. That simply means that these things are also part of your experience, are also arising in the field of awareness. But the moment the attention is onto them, kindly bring it back to your breathing. Not with force, not with judgment or harsh attitude, but with an unconditional acceptance, with a quality of compassion towards the mind. Come back to the breath. Bring the attention onto the breathing. Notice the lungs and stomach expanding as the air goes in, and notice how they shrink back to their regular size when the air goes out. If more thinking is taking place, if some unpleasant memory or any quality of past experience is in your awareness, say hello to it, and then with kindness let that memory or experience know that I will come back to you later. I'm going to go back to the breathing. I'm occupied with this practice in this moment, but I promise to check in later. Keep building your practice. Keep strengthening your ability to be attentive, to be focused onto this object of awareness, to the breathing, to the simple sensations that arise while you breathe in and when you breathe out. Drop all other concerns. Let go of everything else and bring your entire attention onto this experience of breath that is happening right now. The past is no longer here, and the future is not even here yet. All you have is the present moment and this experience of breath. So be here now. Let's take a long breath in together and breathe out. You can open your eyes and you can come back to the room. So now is the time we share our experience or any question. I'll begin with sharing my experience, and then I would like to hear from all of you. And it is okay to pass. So I think at the beginning my mind was concerned. Oh, today is the last workshop. Why are people not showing up? So some sadness arose. And then some anxiety or concern came up. Oh, did I email them? And then I did. So my mind went into that. And then I quickly was back to the practice and able to let go of that thinking process. And then I also noticed, my mind going into the past week while I was teaching a class and giving a presentation and the things that I said. So I did notice those ruminations slightly. And then I was like, oh, I think because I'm guiding, I I'm able to come back more quickly. But I know when I'm on the other side, I know I go into these narrations or these thought processes for a longer duration. But I think so. These were few things that happened, but I feel okay. And I did open my eyes once to see if other people have joined. So I became curious and concerned, and then my mind did that, and I noticed all those things. Anyway, so that was sort of mixture of my experience, but I want to hear from all of you also. How was your experience? Anything that came up or any questions?
Hi, everyone. It is
Hi.
quite sad it's our last session. I'm sorry I was late. I was probably the person that, gave you anxiety. One of those people because I came in a bit late. So I'm sorry about that. I actually in the UK there's a funeral for the Queen's husband. So I was just doing the 1 minute silence. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be late, so I'll just come on. So I've got it on the background. That meditation, something really interesting happened to me. So when you said there was something that comes up, check in with it. And talk to it. So you said it's okay. I'll come back to you later, and we'll check in later. And I really like that. I found myself befriending myself a lot in that practice. It's almost you said, the word you said was hello. Now I identify that with Rumi. I'm currently kind of Rumified at the moment because I'm taking part in a Rumi exhibition, and Rumi often says like, welcome, the guest house, welcome, like as a visitor. And that is a really powerful metaphor that I find when I meditate. So my relationship to myself is changing because I notice I have thoughts about food like popping into my head whilst I'm meditating, which I'm not actually hungry, or I'll have like really powerful, energizing thoughts, like imaginative things, like just pop up. But what I've learned is when I actually talk to it kindly and go, "Oh, that's okay. I know there's a need there. You want to be creative or you want to eat. That's okay." And it dissipates. It goes. So yeah, thank you for that. That was really helpful.
Hmm, I'm so glad. And thank you for sharing your experience. It helps me also to understand, okay, what are things that are helpful. And I don't think I've ever done this hello thing before. It came up during one of my conversations with a friend. And when we were, I was, anyways, it came up and then I think automatically I used it. So I'm glad I used it. And I love that Rumi's poem too. I've used that in other meditations before, not in this workshop, but I think I've used that several times in past. And I have been listening to this Rumi's book. I think some other author compiled the book and made an audiobook. It's available on Audible. I'm not much of a reader, but I listen. I love listening to audiobooks or podcasts, but reading is not as much accessible to me, I guess, because I like to do these things over walks. And I love those poems. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. How about others?
Yeah, it was a very good meditation. Thank you. I was really surprised that you said you were able to guide us in meditation and also be thinking of all this other stuff. You stay focused. I'm like, so he's thinking about, so that's a really good talent. But like Sadia said, I did find the part where you were like, because I had a conversation with one of my son's friends late last night and about some things that he had been going through. And that was still, that stuff just kept popping up in my head at the time, which is important. But when you said, just greet it and say, I'll get back to you or whatever, I didn't have that harshness about it, but just kind of just letting it know I'll put you to the side for now and get back to you later. So it's not like I'm totally dismissing you or saying that you're not important, but it also gives you more of that gap between your real self and all these thoughts that are popping up and feelings and emotions and everything. So that really was good for me as well, I found. So thank you.
Hmm. Again, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so glad that it worked well. And yeah, and I'm glad you had a nice meditation. Thank you so much for sharing. Do you want to share, Yash?
Yeah, so I think most of the times I was listening to your guidance. Uh, so there were distractions, but the distractions was again about meditation. And I was thinking, okay, now I'm practicing vipassana. So what vipassana actually, do to you? Like, um, so I think feeling is the secret. So the way you feel, I think that is what you manifest at the end of the day. It's all your feelings and emotions. Um, so I think my mind was going in that direction. I was listening to you all the time, and I was bringing it back. And there were times where I could actually feel that silence as well, and I was noticing the mm, sensations in my body as well. So yeah, so this compulsive thinking, I think I have um, I think I've overcome it. It's been years, so I think I don't find any struggle with compulsive thinking anymore. I think I can control my thoughts, the intensity. So I'm really proud of it, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that experience. And yeah, and again, very good noticing. Like so many things happen and you noticed all of them. And then you are the best judge of your progress. So if you think you're making progress in certain way, of course, makes sense. And then yeah, certain experience like obsessive thinking, of course, that happens for sure. That's so hard. I experience that as well on a regular basis. But but since you know that it is happening, that is enough. And yeah, but thank you for sharing. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts before we move on? So today, I'll be honest, I did not prepare like, okay, we are gonna do this or that. I was I was thinking I want to just open the space and ask all of you like what would be the best use of this time. And from the perspective of, because we are not going to meet for like after today, I might start similar workshops later in the future someday, but I'm not sure when. But we are not going to meet, so we can at least share like how are you going to continue the practice or what's next. Or I'm really open to if you need my help in finding a retreat center for you, or helping you understand what technique might work better. I would love to do that. That's like, that gives me joy, and connecting you to some resources. I'm here if you need. And so these are few thoughts that I was having, like how can we strengthen our practice after this workshop, and what are other options that are available to do that. Any thoughts or any questions that are coming up for anyone?
Well, I start my meditation teacher training next week. So I would like to, if as I go along in the training, it lasts until January. So I would like to be able to keep your email address. So if I need like additional practice meditation groups or something like that, since you said maybe you have resources, or you know of some groups or something I could join, because I want to make sure that, because a lot of it is all of it's going to have to be done Zoom until that very last part in January. So I think it is good when you can get together with other people and do a lot more meditation practices together. Because I've over the years have been meditating by myself. You can definitely tell there's a difference when you meditate within a group than when you meditate alone. So I definitely appreciate that offer to connect.
Yes, yeah, I would love that. And I think I will learn also. Like, I think you told me about the meditation course hosted from someone in Santa Barbara. And I
Mm-hmm.
have no idea, and I'm going there. So I would love to hear more about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, sounds wonderful. How about the rest of you?
Yeah, Mahib. So I think I find it very grateful to have you have to find you, for your sessions, your 8 weeks thing. So I think it's the first time I'm attending something online. Um, if not, I think Vipassana was the first encounter where I did a group meditation, and after that I didn't get any chance. So can you give some leads where people do maybe every week or something, this kind of sessions, group sittings, or
Sure.
where we can
Yes.
get like-minded people and do some
Yes.
knowledge sharing. Yeah.
Yes. Sure. Definitely. I do have few things on the slides that I mentioned earlier in the first week, but then I can add couple more. The groups that are, I know from Nashville, where I'm physically present right now, and they started having things online on Zoom too. So you can attend those meditation groups too. So for sure. And thank you for asking. I'll look
Yeah.
into it. And I would, this is for everyone because I know limited things, but if you have some Zoom options that I can benefit from or Yash can benefit from, we can share on that email or you can email me and I can share it on the Google slide or just on the email with everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to share about just a few things really. So I think it'd be really helpful, just like Angelica and Yes have said about, you know, further information, that will be really helpful. I know it's great that it's online because I don't live in the USA, so I'm over in the UK, so we've got our stuff that goes on here. I know that, but I have been on some online retreats and things which have been helpful. So it'd be nice to talk to you about that or email you about that. I think for me, I'm really grateful that you did this self-transcendence, because it's really, I can't really find a lot of material on it on YouTube, you know, that's involved with meditation. So it's the first kind of mindfulness slash self-transcendence thing that I've touched base with. So I'm really grateful that you've done it, because, you know, I find that I'm going deep into mindfulness, and my supervisor is quite impressed. She's like, "You're going quite deep," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on this course." So, you know, I'm so glad. So thank you so much, Mahib. I was actually looking at the recordings, and I was like, "Oh God, I shouldn't put my face on." Do you know what I mean? I should have just had the video up. So I feel like I've got the gems there. I can go back and listen to what you were saying and do the contemplative reflection. I think something that's kind of, I was reflecting on was that, what does self-transcendence mean to us? Because that's what I've been questioning really. So it was really, and what is the answer? And that was something I wanted to open up as a discussion. Yes, further knowledge, that's another bullet point about where to go next. And if anything else pops up, I'll say.
Sure. Yeah, and thank you so much for appreciating me. And I love going back and seeing the videos too. It's so fun to like see what comes up, because I don't plan these things, and these are so organic based on our discussion, and someone asks a question and then suddenly an answer drops in. So I love that liveliness of this discussion. And then I do want to, yeah, and I love that you asked that question, what does self-transcendence mean to us? So yes, we can go take that as our first discussion. So again, by first, and I'll be really genuine, I don't like to answer it. I don't like to answer it. The first thing, whenever I hear this question from somebody else, the first thing that genuinely comes to me, like, sure, I can just narrate a poem. I can say really nice fancy words, you know, but that will not help as much as if I ask the question back. So my habit, or the way of how I operate is asking it back. Because when I ask you the question, what is self-transcendence for you? The moment I say that question, there is an open space. The mind starts working to get the answer. And then in that working, it has to open up something. It has to open itself up to a different dimension, you know, and then something will drop in. And that is from beyond the mind itself. And that's why I ask it back instead of saying much about it. So if I ask all of you, not just Sadia, but what is self-transcendence for you? What comes up? And anyone can share.
That's a really deep question, and I think we would not just start that with a conversation. We could probably finish the whole rest of this day with that conversation.
Sure.
I agree with Mahit that we do start off with the mind trying to answer the question, and I could think of a lot of things I would say about it, but the mind won't be able to touch it. But I think it's important to use the mind, I guess I'll say, to start off with a mental construct of what transcending the self means, because, and I'm reading Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which I'm so surprised that I'm just coming across this book after all this time. I've heard of it, but I had never read it. But to use the mind to turn itself back inwards instead of outwards, that question itself makes you turn in, because you're trying to transcend this self, this created self. And the only way to transcend it, I guess, is to turn inward. So That's a very deep question, and I think it's like at the root of all that we're trying to do here, which is to get beyond this created self that has really caused a whole lot of suffering. I wish I could say that it didn't just mainly cause suffering, but it does, because we're trying to protect the self, trying to keep ourselves safe, trying to keep ourselves important, trying to keep ourselves, even when Mahip said at the beginning, I started wondering what I did wrong. Did I not send the link? Did I not? And he's doing this great thing for us. But there's something about the self that just wants to be protected. But once we can transcend it, you're just open to so much more of who we really are, which we just don't know what we really are. But it's a beautiful question, and I don't know. I don't know how to answer it, but I really am glad that you asked the question, because I think it's at the root of what we're all trying to do. But I really can't say I know that anybody who shows up at something like this has already turned inward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you for saying that. I enjoyed the whole description and your experiences. Just listening to it, I can feel the vibrations of like joy. Okay, I'll ask the question again. What does self transcendence mean to you?
Okay, I don't know if I can answer about that, but a few things to say. So we all strive for a quality life. When I say quality life, we try to understand our how the mechanics of our mind, how it works, and we always keep trying to impress it. I think most of the times we all we do is that we just want to impress our mind, and in that process we seek for validations. So I think uh, for few it's like validations from others, and I think the one step above is where we start seeking validations from our own mind. We stop seeking validation from others, but we think, okay, we are in a better place, and we start seeking validations from our own mind. So I think that is now how it should be. Like, yeah. Also, the whole idea of meditation is to stop. I to stop seeking. I guess once you stop seeking, I think there is a saying. I am not able to recall the saying, but when you stop seeking, the seeking seeks you something, something's sort of that. Yeah. Uh, so I think the whole idea is to uh, accept the reality, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And then, yes, I totally agree with that. Stopping to seek, because the mind keeps on seeking, and then seeking itself means like, okay, I'm here and I want to get there. I'm this, I want to be that. So it's every seeking is representing non-acceptance of what is and wanting something else. Every kind of seeking is, of course, it's okay to seek. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but also pointing out how it splits us into two. And the moment you realize, oh, I'm already that, there's no need to seek, because I am that already. I am that which I seek already. So thank you for sharing that piece. But yeah, and wonderful reflections. I like hearing everyone's answers. Okay, so I'll ask again, what is self-transcendence for you?
Yeah, I just wanted to share. Thank you, Angelica, for what you said. It was so enlightening what you just expressed there, and I felt quite it's refreshing the way you approach that. So thank you for that. Yeah, something which has just been discussed right now, I think that's what I'm experiencing. My mind is like going, what is it? What is it? Find the answer. We need to know the answer because we need to figure this out. Because in any training course you come to, there's an objective, isn't there? And this is what I'm finding with mindfulness. You've got aims and objectives. And I'm trying to go, so what was self-transcendence again? What does it mean? And so I want this answer. So there's an element of protection, like you were saying, Angelica. I've got this thing about, do I know it? Or am I like, do I know what I'm on about? Or is this just all airy-fairy? So that's the questions that I've got going on in my head. And I'm going, maybe I just don't understand any of it. So yeah, there's something definitely deep within us that I've learned from this course. There's something connected, something about connectedness. That's what I've picked up. Like, we're connected to, not, I wasn't very with nature. I loved nature, like, physically, but I never knew how connected I was and how much I needed nature. So my connectedness is like my I don't know if it's spiritual or religious. It's starting to be connected more to the universe. I've noticed that. And that's because maybe I've let go of, maybe I've been open with nature, this openness about, we both need each other, we help each other, and this kind of love for nature in a very different way. I was on a retreat and it made me quite emotional, and I was just like, oh, this is strange. And we've talked about stuff, which has kind of gone, okay, this is really deep, and it's made me question my faith as well. Self-transcendence to, say, for example, Rumi is very, different to someone else. He's, Sufi mystic, and his self-transcendence is about who am I and the ego and things like that. So I'm finding I'm trying to question it, like with different kinds of religions and spirituality. And I guess what I'm hearing is the quest will always continue. And it's something innately that I will find when I stop looking for it.
Yeah.
Question that she said, when she said, will we ever stop seeking? And I'm thinking about, I started it, and then Mahib said, are we able to stop? Because it feels like the human experience, or just the experience of the self, is to have experiences. So how do we stop seeking and still be a self? Maybe when it stops, that's when there's nothing left, and you're just, like they say, you're just pure awareness. But is that what we want to be? Do we want to be pure? I thought we wanted just to be, we wanted to have experiences. I thought that's what it was all about. And then there seems to be this other set in religion and mindfulness and everything else to be on a quest of no experience. It feels like almost a break in between. Or is it about having an experience without having to suffer?
Wow. There's so many questions and there's so much to unpack in that. But yes, so one piece I heard was wanting experiences. So there is someone who wants experiencing a lot, one after another. And then the other piece, if not having experiences, someone not wanting experiences. If the practices, I think you are pointing towards meditation and practices is that correct to say?
Is that for me, Mahib?
Yeah, what you were saying, am I getting it right?
Well, when we're doing mindfulness, we're trying to let all that stuff that the mind is bringing up, all the thoughts and everything, we want it to quiet down. So at the end, there's pretty much no experience, right? Just no experience. Are we on a quest for that just so that we can have peace? Because being alive is about having experiences. So are we doing this so that we can have peace? Or are we doing it so that we can understand more of who we are, so that we do transcend the self And now I know that I'm just this being of awareness, but I'm not trying to get away from experiences. I just want to understand that those experiences are not who and what I am. I guess the question is, why are we here? What are we doing? What are we doing and why are we doing this? And we want to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh god. I just want to enjoy this moment and not say anything.
Maybe, Mahit, maybe you can answer it in this way.
Hmm.
What brought you here? What brought you to mindfulness?
Sure. So I think I will just share like how this body operates. I can't speak for other people why people do it, but I can really speak for this person or this awareness. I think I'm aware that the mind, which is a really complex machinery within this, or I cannot locate the mind too, it's everywhere. That is always wanting something to do. That is, the mind is the one who, or you can call it egoic mind, or I don't know what term to use to best fit the description. But for me, I just call it, this is the mind. All it does is wanting and seeking, and it's very intermingled with the body, and the body and mind are sort of one, but they both have desires, because the body will get hungry, will want food, and then the mind keeps on wants to improve and do better and protect this person that it think it is. And then getting into mindfulness, the purpose initially for me was, I did not, what is happening in this world? Why am I here? Like, there was so many questions, and I'm suffering, and I want to be out of it. I want to be free. So those were there, and I just had some flickering insight. Something was guiding me internally, and I kept on. And I was not trustful of people. I especially like teachers and stuff. I will find my own path, kind of. I was very arrogant or adamant. I don't know what the word is. But then somehow or the other, I got to this meditation like practice, and I attended Vipassana retreats. And then I realized, okay, there is more deeper understanding. There is deeper self-knowledge. And there is an a possibility of finding real peace, not just temporary, but absolute freedom that is possible while you're alive. Not what I heard while growing up, that you will die and you'll go to heaven or hell, and not that after death, but here, while you're in the body, it is possible. And I got that idea. And then I also knew that the sense of self is the root of all the pain and suffering during the retreats. And if I can understand what the true self is, I can understand if I can understand what the self is not, I can see what the self is. So there is a differentiation or discrimination between the two. And the reason I still practice is it puts this mind and body in a space where they can just be. And then I feel I'm at a point that I don't make a decision, oh, let's meditate. I don't push myself to sit down and meditate. It just happens. It's like brushing my teeth. I don't decide, okay, it's time. I don't check my clock or I put an alarm to do it. It just starts happening randomly during the day, while I walk, while I'm studying, or while I'm talking. Even in this moment, I can see that the body and mind are saying things, doing things, words are coming out, but I am there like a witness. Even right now, I'm seeing myself from outside. So it sounds very weird and sounds not very I don't know, not very common, but this is the experience. I can't help it. I didn't choose it. I didn't try to make it. This is it. So I do it and I know the mindfulness practice is happening because they are great way of living for the mind and body. Like I eat good quality food, so these are good quality practices. But for me, the true me needs no practice. The true me is aware that there is no space or time. So no practice or no seeking is required. But the mind does not know, will never understand. So I'll let it do it. Let it seek every day. Wake up every morning, try to find peace every day, and then find it sometimes, and then lose it again, find it sometimes. It's an ongoing, never stop, never ending process. It's gonna do it. As long as I know that this is what the mind does, and that is not me, that's the nature of the mind, it's fine, let it do. Because then there are desires, and then you try to come meet those desires. More desires will come. That's never ending. Experiences, one experience will end, another will come, never ending. So I'm not trying to end any experience with meditation. I'm not trying to create experiences with meditation. I'm just being with them better with meditation. So, because it, and being with it, and that what I'm talking about, what I'm pointing towards, the true self, that is not an experience. That is beyond all experiences. So it's not that I experienced self transcendence. Of course, I use it in term and language. I will write it in my paper. You can experience self transcendence by mindfulness meditation. I will write that in my dissertation. Yes, but I know for truly deeply in my heart that it's not an experience that you can have. It is something beyond the mind, and only the mind experiences. What you truly are is beyond experiences itself, because experiences happen time within time, and what we are talking about is outside of time and space. Okay, I don't know, I said a lot of things, and I Mahib did not say these things. When Mahib is placed in this context like this, in a conversation like this, stuff starts dropping in the head, and just that's it. So I'm not taking responsibility that Mahip knows these things. Mahip is just a vessel, and stuff is dropping in. That's how I see it.
You know, something came to me as you were talking just now, and thank you for saying that. But I was able to piece together from what Sadia said and what you explained. Sadia started going into something about nature. She said, I'm finding myself being more attracted to nature, more attracted to there's something like changing. And you said, I don't know what happened. You said, I don't know what happened, but I just started feeling like I didn't want to suffer anymore. And I started, it hit me that this is a natural process. This is a natural process probably for the human being. Almost like how the tree and the seed and the ground growing up, this is the part of nature, and that's probably that might be why we're feeling more attracted to nature and natural processes and feeling something internally happening, because it is a natural progression for the human to start to turn inward and start to grow beyond the mind, beyond all these experiences. I don't know what it is, but it's just like as you talked, I started seeing that bridge come together between nature and natural processes. And like you're saying, it's not something that I'm doing, it's something that's happening. Like with the trees outside and the weeds and the clouds or whatever, it's something that's happening.
Mm.
You know, and I believe it is something that's happening within us, and that's why we can't touch it, we can't explain it. It's just happening. So thank you for just letting me sit as you talk, and as as we just sit with it. Yeah, I can feel that. I really can feel that. It's just a natural process. I had another question. This question is more along cultural lines.
Mm.
It feels to me like, because you guys all come from obviously an Indian, and I think Sadia is an Indian background.
I am similar to Indians. I'm Pakistani.
Pakistan. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you guys luckier to come from this Eastern background, or do you have the same struggles as all the rest of us, where we have to struggle our way through religion and all this stuff to get to mindfulness? Maybe you can just let me know.
Sure. I'll let others answer first.
I think for me, I think I'm questioning my faith a lot more now. It's really interesting because mindfulness came to me from the West, which is really interesting. And through my own experience of panic attacks and anxiety. So I started going to the Buddhist center. So I learned about mindfulness through the Buddhists and my teachers. It scares my mum sometimes, and we joke about this because she's like, "Are you converting to Buddhism?" I'm like, "Mum, coming from an Asian family, as I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but my mum's worried, and I'm like, please don't worry, I'm still Muslim, it's okay." So we joke about it. But I got it from the Buddhist faith, and I'm so grateful because actually Buddhism's helped me question parts of Islam which I wasn't aware of. And then Rumi is a Sufi, and I'm like, wow, meditation's in our faith, So I feel actually for me, I didn't necessarily grow up with mindfulness. It came from an experience that directed me to kind of the West, and then kind of like through my the CBT therapist, and then she said go to the Buddhist center. So that's how I came to mindfulness. But it's interesting because I'm going back to my roots. It's redirecting me to my roots of who I am. I'm a Muslim. I was born Muslim, but what does that mean? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going, Rumi was a Sufi, he meditated. What's that about? So that's my journey. I don't know what it's like for you guys.
Sure. I love talking about it, and then I love listening to the experience. I I can so relate to what Sadia just said. So I grew up in India, grew up in a Hindu family, and then half of my friends were like Muslims because grew up in a small city in central part of India, where there was a huge Muslim population. So I ended up getting really exposed to Hinduism and and Islam a lot. But then both were sort of not offered to me, both were sort of forced onto me. Like everyone has these strong beliefs and they just push it on you. I'm like, oh geez. And I got so repelled very early as a kid. Very early I knew, like, I don't have want to do anything with religion. I'm not gonna pray. I don't know what what are you praying to these statues? It makes no sense to me. So I had that really strong repulsion and rebellious nature as a kid. So of course I did not indulge into any of these things for till like 23 or 24. And then difficult life experiences took me here and there. And then I actually got more into spirituality after I started meditating, which again, mindfulness was introduced to me when I was in US. I meditated actually for the first time when I was here, but never did that in India while growing up because I was so repelled. So that was funny. And again, Buddhism was something where I found which hit home. And I think one of the quotes that I share at the beginning of the retreat, quote from Buddha: doubt everything. Don't just believe what your religious books are saying, what your elders are saying. Don't even believe what I am saying. Trust what your experience or what your insight tells you and stuff. Like, wow, now that makes sense. This guy is not asking me to trust or believe him because that's what people, elders or teachers or parents, maybe even just wants me to follow their rules, which absolutely does not agree with who I am. And then So the retreats definitely opened me up, and then I started meditating in the Vipassana retreats, and then I continued and continued, and then now I'm in the last 1 year I'm going back to Hinduism, because the Vedanta, like Vedas, uh, and the, I think, non-duality scriptures, that they are so systematically written, and that the books, they don't care about religious things. They just, this is a technique, follow it and be free, get enlightened, or so clear. And like such a good, and then I found a great teacher also in Oakland, whom I met couple of times, but then I attend his classes online on Zoom on Mondays. So I'm going back to my roots of like in Hinduism. And then I have another layer of exposure. So my wife grew up here in US. In a, her parents are, she's Jewish, and her parents actually went to India for many years and still go there. And they, her parents follow Hinduism. And she also grew up Hindu like me, but then now she's leaving all that to go back to Judaism, to like, and she's on a path to become a rabbi. so it's, so I go to synagogue with her, as in not right now, but at least online we go now, but in person we used to go to synagogue, and I get to hear, and we are both interested in mysticism, and like we are crazy about like reading what, I actually use her books. She's the scholar one. She has all the books. I read her Rumi book, or I get to like borrow other things that she has on Audible and stuff. So I'm getting exposed to other traditions too. But what is drawing me is the mysticism in all of them. That is the real stuff. I don't care about the rules. I don't know. I'm not interested in what happened and this. And then in the stories also, I take out the juicy part of like, okay, so every story is about a liberation, some form of liberation. Not taking stories literally, but taking the lessons, which is how this person liberated, how this person had a spiritual experience, and then they broke those conditioning and were free, and then taught. So I'm taking all those traditions that I'm getting exposure to with that understanding of how this is about enlightenment or mysticism. So that has been my experience. But thank you for asking that question.
So yeah, I actually it reminded me of something. So spirituality I encountered at a very young age, I would say at 15 years or 16 years. So my parents were following some spiritual organization, so they influenced me. I blindly followed it. I had few questions like why I'm into this world. So why this creation, everything, but still I was blindly following it, and they had certain rules and very strict principles to follow. I think at certain point I was feeling very guilty. I was going very hard on myself for not following those rules and stuff. Then it made no sense to me at all. Then I just stopped, following that organization. So I started exploring my own. I came across, I think, many techniques or many people. I came across Abraham Hicks, and then for a short time, I listened to Abraham Hicks. So then Sadhguru, and then Eckhart Tolle. So yeah, I started exploring myself, all of this. Now I feel like um, somewhere. So I guess even I put the rules aside. I don't know whether maintaining celibacy is correct or not, or is it part of spirituality or not. I don't know, but yeah, it's a kind of it was a long journey for me right from the childhood. Like 15, I think that's a prominent age I would feel. So want to get influenced by any sort of things. So yeah. So also, but now sometimes I feel like um, humans, we will never have any satisfaction at all, no matter where. So if I want to seek something, okay, if I reach, even if I reach there, um, maybe I would be satisfied for a brief time, and then I will try to seek for some other thing. I think this is a never ending process. And so when I look at animals, I find them very interesting. They don't have any time concept, or they don't have anything of that sort. They're just there. So I wonder why humans can't be like that. Why this world is so complicated? Why this suffering? Yeah. And so this is not so easy. I think this world is not so easy to live also. It's yeah. So even now many questions stands me like, okay, so if I'm here, the purpose of my life is to experience the truth, know the truth, then why I have to take a human body? I can just be there to experience, I mean, to experience the um, the beyond, to experience the beyond. Why have to take a human body and, go through all this pain and ultimately find that one thing? So even now, why
Mm.
can't we just like, yeah? So yeah, I don't know where this. I, so yes, my friends, who not into this path, like they don't even know what spirituality is. Uh, Sometimes when I look at them, they are more happy than me. They're more happier than me. So yeah, I don't know. But what I'm striving is to have a quality life, no matter where I am. Okay, no matter, even if I seek or not, I think I should be able to accept it and just be there. And we humans tend to label everything into good or bad, right? So I personally, so my goals are to stop labeling things, to stop labeling feelings, emotions, and yeah. So that, I think
Hmm.
that is my goal. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I love the questions. Like the more questions that are coming up, our questions define our next steps, our path. Yeah. So keep asking. Hmm. Anyone having any thoughts? I just wanna check in.
I'm having a thought about when Yash said and I think she really is getting to something when she says the desiring, the wanting, the desiring, the constant desiring is it. And this is what you said. You said your wife is trying to be a rabbi, or she's on that path. And it sounds to me like maybe she's into the Kabbalah, maybe Jewish mysticism.
Yeah.
Okay. So that belief, and I'm sure your wife can explain it a lot more, is that that is what the human was kind of created, the human body as a thing that desires, and we will always be desiring until we start that turning inward, which I think we all are starting to do, starting to turn inward, and then at a certain point you start to become what the source or God or whatever we want to call it is, which is not to receive anymore, but to give. And the more we start to connect with one another as one human, just one human, not you, me, that one, we're one human, one, we start to now have a not a desire to take, but a desire to give. So then you become like a vessel of the creator, which is now to give. And I'm sure that we're all starting to see that the more we're on this path, you start to want to give back more than to take. And I can see it in Mahib wanting to give these classes, wanting to give out information, wanting to share information, as opposed to wanting to take, but not that that is a bad thing that we are desiring. We were built, we were created in that way, to want to desire things and whatever. But at a certain point, which is a natural thing, a thing of nature, we're going to rise and then now become a thing which is almost like the hand of God, basically, to give and to help and to, you know, be what we were kind of made to be, which is, you know, God isn't going to reach down and he has to use our hands and our lips and our eyes to be able to change the world, you know, and make this a better world. And in order for that to happen, that those natural processes have to happen. And what better thing to happen than to make it be a thing of suffering, possibly, that makes you want to become, what am I? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? It also, it's almost like that suffering is the thing that turns you in that direction to rise up, you know. So it's not that those are bad things, you know, like the Buddhists say, no mud, no lotus. So I can see all the things that we're all saying leading to the same place and the same thing. I really can see that. And that desiring it's actually leading us somewhere, you know, even if it's suffering, you know, but it's also leading us someplace where we have to go. So I think I really love the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the conversations too. And I'm so glad that I asked. And then we came to this point. Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'm loving what you guys are saying. Thank you, Angelica. That was beautiful how you expressed that. It felt really heartfelt. Yeah, you know, it's so nice to hear your experiences. It's given, you know, it's just, I feel like I'm connected to you guys differently now because we've gone a bit more open about who we are and, you know, our experiences. I feel like I get a sense of connection with you all in a very different way now, and I love that. And you said something about rebellion, Mahib, and I really, you know, I'm going through that in my 30s. I wish I went through it when I was a teenager, but I didn't. I was very, you know, I followed the rules all the time, and now I'm like, I just don't want to listen or conform to culture. You know, I love parts of my culture, but then there's parts that, you know, that I don't agree with. But I guess it's about how you reframe and how you have that perspective on kind of your culture and religion. So yeah, this is beautiful. It's really, it's just nice to hear what you guys are saying. It's strange, isn't it? This being, that there's something about this being that we don't have an answer for it, and it's there, and we're all trying to conceptualize it or want to talk about it, and it's comes in different forms, like whether you're Jewish or Buddhist or Muslim or Sikh or Hindu or you have no faith. You know, it's just interesting, this path.
Yes, yes. And that is what is intoxicating. I think there's one of Rumi's poem, like the one who is separated from the source longs to get back, longs for the reunion. Definitely not saying it as it is, but the more we talk about these things, the more, because the moment we see ourselves as a separate entity, this one separate tiny human, and then we long for the bigger. You can call that God, you can call that the universe, or you can call that true nature. But then, and there is immense pleasure in that longing. And I think, and then I think another poetry from Rumi when he compares like drinking wine or eating amazing food, but then we get drunk on anticipation. So every desire that we have, even when we think that desire is for to meet another person, to find love, or to drink wine, or eat this amazing food, all those the underlying desire of all these desires is the desire to reunite with who you are, or to reunite with the essence. So it's okay to have any desire, but as long as, or to go for those desires, but having that awareness, okay, I'm desiring food right now, but I know the moment I eat this food, my mind will stop wanting for a brief second. And that brief second is the time I'm in union.
That's deep, Mahib. I want to remember that.
It's okay. We have recording. You can go to the.
I want to take that in and remember it. Every time you have a desire, it's really a desire for the ultimate. Is that what you're saying? Or who I really am, or to be with the divine. And the moment I have it, I'm satisfied. I'm just totally satisfied. But then, boom, it's fleeting. It's gone.
Yes.
So I need to desire something. Man, that is deep. I love that. I feel like you said it before. I didn't get it on that same level when you said it before in another class. But now it just like, it hit me in a different kind of way this time when you said it. Wow, that's deep. So then I never think of these desires as a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Wow, that's deep. That's really good.
Sure. Yeah. And it's so much joy. And so every desire is actually, you're desiring yourself. From outside world, it will look like, oh, you're desiring a car or a food or a job or a partner, whatever that is. But if we are unconscious and wanting and identified with the desire, then you get addicted to the object of desire. The object can be food or other things. But if you're fully aware, fully conscious, you know that this is it's not the object. What I'm desiring is my own self. What I'm desiring, what the mind is desiring, is that the mind stops for a moment, because that moment of satisfaction, which is so fleeting, stops the thinking and obsessive mind and obsessive wanting. And when it's stopped, you are at such a level of peace. And why is that peace there? Because you are in one with the ultimate. So why not just directly go? And I think Yash said that, why keep on wanting and these things when we are already that, or why go through all these things? And that is mysticism. Why go through all these things when you can directly be one with the source? Why take the long route when you can be that right now? And that is mysticism. And that is why mystics in all traditions will just say these things, simple things. But the world makes it complicated by adding rules and and right and wrong.
I hate that these classes are ending. I'm really sad.
we can meet more. We can set up a meeting randomly.
That
Yeah.
would be great.
Yes.
That would be great.
Sure. So I think I have everyone's email address. I'll just do, or we can make sort of a group.
Yeah.
If you have WhatsApp, do you use WhatsApp?
I've never used it. I know that's sad.
So we can coordinate faster than emails, and we can just meet. And then I think I'll enjoy that even more, because of course I love hosting this, but I don't enjoy being in charge. Somebody else can be in charge, and I can just participate and have fun.
We'll always participate.
Yes. So sure. So we can do that. I do have a couple of things that I felt like I want to share and add to this conversation. So one of my students from I used to teach meditations at different universities. So 2 years ago, I was teaching a meditation group at one of the universities in Nashville. And one of my students, randomly, he just emails me with questions. Anyway, so he did that, I think 4 days ago. And like when I hear a question, some stuff drops in. So I'm just going to read what came up. So his question was, oh, I can't read the top line, but anyway. So I feel I've asked you this before. This past month has felt like a tug of war between mind and spirit, ego and consciousness. It feels like I keep going in and out, so to speak. How do I take the experience of mindfulness that I get in meditation and implement it into my experiences outside of meditation to stay in a mindful state all the time? So the answer that came up, it is let go of the idea of a mindful state. Stop trying to experience anything other than the experience you are having. No experience can stay forever. No mind state is eternal. Mind is only a tool that takes a momentary dip in the true nature and gets attached to it, desiring it more and more. Realize that you are that true nature already. There is no need to do anything. Surrender all efforts and just be. If the mind wishes to seek, let it seek and try. You need not water it with attention. Turn the attention to the one who is attending. Look towards who is aware, who is watching, who is the one without second, who is here without change, witnessing all the changes, who is beginningless, endless, absolutely free, untouched, untainted, beyond the sensory perception, beyond the comprehension of the intellect. Who is that? That is you. Meditate on that. Whenever the mind forgets, remind it of this. Bring it back to this. That is the practice. That is the homecoming. Come back to who you are each time you realize you wandered away. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. This is the practice. So yeah, and even I wrote it. I read it again and I'm like, I don't know where it came from, but I feel like reading it again and again. Anyways, anything that came up for you all?
Yeah, for me, what comes up in mindfulness, which I hear a lot, is the paradox of life. So thank you for sharing that. That was really helpful. That with mindfulness, the more you want it, the more you strive for it, the less you get it. And there's a paradox to that, isn't there? Usually in life, we do A to B, and then we're successful, or we get the thing we want, but actually mindfulness works the other way. You got to let go for what you want and just let go of that, which is, I've noticed this paradox thing comes up quite a lot in this being human, whatever that is.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yes, it is a paradox, and it's so hard to put it into a like language. But then, yeah, the more you want it, the more you lose it.
I think the more we want it, we create um, a contradictory feeling over there. I guess you already. Yeah. So
Yes.
we are wanting at the same time, but we are wanting that, but at the same time, I think we are doubting it.
Yeah, if you are wanting it, there is a doubt involved that I do not have it. Yes, that's a good
No,
point.
yeah.
Hmm.
So when we seek for something, I think there should be I would say, blind faith to that we would get it. If not, if there's a doubt, then I think the more we want, it doesn't happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And I want to be mindful. It's 10:31, and yes, I will email. I have to go for a meeting right now, so I won't be doing right exactly after this workshop. But I will email everyone, and I'll share my like cell phone number. And feel free to email me after this workshop. And yeah, and I'll try to make a group or at least have like a email exchange going on so that we can set up more meetings. Or I'll be moving, so I'll be busy, but at least other people can hang out if I'm not there, so I can make that space. Okay, there is one more poem that I felt I want to share before I end today's workshop. I think, let's see, if you have time. Okay, I'm not sure if I shared this earlier before, but I call this one self to self. So, self, like small self to the bigger self. The world is so big and I'm so small. Like, oh, let me see. Okay, let me read it again. The world is so big and I'm so small, like a drop of water in between infinite other drops. In this ocean of waves and typhoons, I get punched in the face and moved around. No free will I have. All the big waves toss me around. Fishes drink me and poop me out. So powerless I feel. What is this all about? Realizing how limited I am, I drop all hopes for a better future and surrender myself to the almighty law of nature. The moment I surrender my limited identity, I realize the truth and the underlying infinity. I was never this drop of water, I was the entire ocean itself, and duality was a myth, and so was that small self. Now there is no doubt, and there is no internal strife. With free will I flow, full of vitality, full of life. So I hope you enjoyed today's workshop, and I'll definitely see you in other ways. Or, but yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful experience, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mahi, for conducting these amazing sessions.
Sure, sure. I'm so glad. It gives me immense joy.
Absolutely. And nice meeting
Yeah.
everybody and
Yeah.
Yes,
stay in
same
touch.
here.
Okay.
I look forward to the groups. It's been amazing.
too.
And soul, what's the words? Like soul filling, fulfilling. It's
Yes.
really nourishing for soul. I think these conversations that are happening, and a lot of us are involved in mindfulness. So this will help with practice. So I really look forward to it. Thank you guys. You've been awesome.
Thank you
Yes.
too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.